but I guess that's just, you gotta pay respect. You gotta pay respect to your craft when you're getting paid for it. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Well,
it's
it's important to maintain. Like I said, this is fun. This is a fun job. We didn't get into it to have it not be fun.
Bebop.
All right, here we go. So today's guest, Bill Cormalis Jr. Check him out at billcormalisjr.com. I like the true joy of doing the fundraiser for the Negro Leagues Baseball Museum last year. It's ongoing, I think.
yes.
Is I got to meet all these cool artists, and Bill Cormalis was one of the first to reach out to me and have me remember that I was human.
Yeah.
How are you doing, sir? Thank you for joining.
I'm good, thanks. How are you?
I'm good. No, I of course was like drawn to your work instantly just because it's really awesome. But also I think there was about 100 of us in that first effort, and I think for a lot of the people the theme was new.
Yeah.
But for you, reading a little bit on your social media, I mean, you started this a long time ago, this journey into memorializing the Negro Leagues.
Yes.
How did that start? Like what?
Make a long story short, I'm a Dodger fan, and so there's a little bit of Negro League history that comes along with being a Dodger fan through Jackie Robinson. So there's that minor exposure through that, and then always a baseball fan. That's obvious, and then I was just reading these books, and it was about mostly the white, or the not black major leaguers, and then there was a segment about excuse me, about Josh Gibson. And but that was literally the first time I'd ever heard of Josh Gibson in my life. And this was probably about 13 years ago. And I don't know, I was never doing baseball art even back then. It was like I was just a regular artist doing whatever art, you know what I mean? And then I started that, and Josh Gibson was the first one. Oh, look, I'm just gonna tilt this up a little bit.
Okay, so
That's
for the audio listeners, he's pointing to a piece of a Josh Gibson piece.
That is the first baseball painting in my life, right there.
Oh, Josh, yeah, nice.
Yeah, and then I painted a second one, and then I painted a third, and then I was like, what do I do with 3 baseball paintings? 3 is really not it means something in baseball, but it doesn't mean a lot in baseball. So I just decided that I'm like, you know what, I'm gonna do 18 baseball players. I'm gonna do 18. And how I chose it was I chose, the series is 2 position players, which makes 2 teams. Okay, so I had this fantasy thing happening where these fantasy teams could play each other. Okay, that's why I did it, and it was, the timing was pretty wild because excuse me, I didn't do any other art for a year and a half when I started those. I didn't draw. I didn't do anything outside of those pieces. 18 months. So about a month on each painting. And that was like doing the research, going online, looking in the books, Wikipedia, trying to find out everything I could about every player that I was doing. And than the timing was. And I had previously built a relationship with the Museum of Tolerance in Los Angeles from some of the music artwork I was doing. And I just proposed it to him. I literally was like, hey, I got this. I mean, it's not Jewish. I'm like, but it has to do with tolerance. I said, what do you think? And they jumped on it. And so I got to have an exhibition at the Museum of Tolerance, and they had never done an artist exhibition before, ever. Yeah. It's just the Holocaust stuff. And yeah, basically that was it. Just enthusiasm. I like history, and you know, see, we know everything there is to know about all the players that play in the major leagues. You know what I mean? Like it's all written. It's all there. You want to know about Ted Williams? Easy. Go do it. I mean, you can find out so much about Ted Williams. But these other players who we have no idea how great they were, other than the eyewitness accounts of people that actually got to play with them. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. And that's pretty wild.
Well, I'm always curious how people who organically came to the theme got into it. I mean, I've always been a baseball fan, but I didn't start doing baseball art until COVID started. And that was just me being nostalgic for things that made me happy.
No. And you know what? I do that too.
Yeah, but immediately as a kid, I was aware of the Negro Leagues, and that fascinated me, that a separate league was present, that actually existed. And so when I started to paint baseball, I did quite a few of I think Josh Gibson, Satchel Paige, and I was enjoying revisiting that. It was something that I had dug up on my own back when, we used books to look things up. Yep. And there weren't very many, but what I was there's it's magic, because it's a whole, like you said, we don't have all the information. Right. And that also is part of the draw. It's like, talk about something feeling legendary, just looking at the poor documentation of it and being able to play with that as an artist is awesome. And yes. So how did you fall into the fundraiser, and what was your reaction? Were you like...
well, I think I may have been the first person Tad contacted.
Uh-huh.
And yeah, I was game. I mean, why not? You know what I'm saying? One for, I mean, there's personal, there's selfish and selfless reasons to do it. You know what I mean? Like, one, because I have a cachet of artwork to show anyways. And so when any type of exhibit or whatever you want to call what we did, fundraiser, anytime my artwork fits in, I jump on it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that has allowed me to do my small part in exposing other people to the subject that never knew anything about it as well. So it's kind of like a very slow moving good virus. You know what I mean? So it started with me, and I can slowly infect people with it. You know what I'm saying? And when it was at the museum, kids were getting off school buses every day and ending up on the top floor. You know what
awesome.
I'm saying? And, yeah. and just that alone is like, look, I was a terrible student in school, but that's curriculum.
Yeah.
Through art. You know what I'm saying? And so, yeah, man, it's pretty awesome feeling just to be a kind of a scrub student, and then to be able to teach the way that I do it,
Yeah, no, completely empathize with that. I I mean, I used to get in trouble for drawing instead of paying attention to the lecture. So
I got kicked out of a class for it.
yeah, yeah. And, my parents were constantly signing my pieces, which seemed backwards. Um, like, don't you want my signature? But so, give me a timeline. Like when you first started the 18 project, the 18 pieces. What year was that?
I will say it was 2009. 2009.
2000,
Yeah,
2009.
and then
And,
around and then 2011 the museum thing happened just like right away. Just kind of rolled into that.
yeah. Then so where did it go from there? Because you continued to make the work, correct? Or
Yeah, what happened was I mean this is really awesome. I mean when you think about this is a really awesome story to tell. So then the artwork's up at the museum and it's maybe been there for a month or so. And the girl Jessie, who was my contact there, she gets a hold of me and she goes, "Hey, I based on your artwork here," she goes, "I also found some guy to speak about it. He has a documentary and a book. Byron Motley. He was part of the I think the thing that we did, or not. Have you heard of Byron Motley?"
I haven't heard that name.
Okay, so I'll get back to him. Byron Motley was the speaker who was to come, and she asked if I would be there, just to kind of like, you know, be there because my artwork's there. We could meet up and we can talk. And I'm like, yeah, totally, man. I'll go there. It sounds really rad. So I get there, and Byron Motley. His father was a Negro League baseball umpire. Okay. And so he got to roll with all the greats. You think of a Negro League great from like the 40s and the 40s into the 50s. He was on the buses with them, and that was the Willie Mays and the Hank Aaron's and the Josh Gibsons. So like a certain era, he was there. Anyways, he wrote a book about his dad and that whole thing that happened, and he wrote the book with his father, so they kind of teamed up on us. And his father was an amazing storyteller, like the Negro League Baseball Museum guy. What's his name again?
The
Negro League Baseball Museum main.
the president.
Yes,
The president.
I forget his name, but a great storyteller like him. And
Bob Kendrick. Is that it?
That's it.
Bob Kendrick. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. Lots of people to remember names. But anyhow, I got to build up a relationship with Byron. I mean, this was like secondhand knowledge from, from the league. You know what I'm saying? Now I have like an actual person that is connected to it. So he's giving his lecture. He's showing bits and pieces from the documentary that he's trying to get off the ground. Talks about his book, and he's asking the people questions. There's like maybe 25 people watching, asking questions, and I'm fresh off of all of this information. You know what I mean? So I was like a whiz when it came to Negro League trivia. I could just answer anything at that. Now, not so much because, I'm not so hot and heavy into it. Well, Byron, after that, when his deal was over, he just up and volunteered me to give a tour discussion of my paintings. It was like, let's do it. You know what I mean? Like, like I said, I was fresh off the information. So it's really cool to be able to talk to a group of people who were there to actually know and talk and discuss and see about the Negro League. So it was this weird, just awesome thing where I got to walk around this building and just go from painting to painting and talk about it. And then after that was over, Byron notified me about a Negro League baseball art contest that he was going to be a judge of. And he's like, look it, man, you got all the work right here. And find the best one you think and enter that one. I did. And then I won. I mean, this was a nationwide contest.
Yeah.
And let's just one little, you meet one person and then you meet two people and then you meet three. And then, I don't know. I don't want to brag about accolades, but like good things have happened just from passion and enthusiasm, and that's where it started. You know what I mean?
Well, I mean, that's an important story because, I've been a working artist since I was 18. And through the years, I always run across people who are, and it sounds weird to say it, but thinking about their audience. What are people going to like? And I'm of the mindset that it doesn't matter, because if you don't like the thing that you're making, if you're just doing it for whoever over there and not feeding the thing that interests or that you're passionate about, you won't see what you saw. You started, this was passion work, and like you said, step by step, one people became two, and then it's amazing. I mean, it's done the same for me, just especially during this time. I just focused on the things that I like, these baseball pieces, sports pieces in general. I'm vibing on that, and I'm feeding off of people's excitement. And I'm so happy to have fell in to this community of artists, because we're all pushing, complimenting, sharing, talking about each other's work. And it's the most supportive I've ever seen anything in the art community. And it's because of that. I think that special bond, especially baseball, that it has. The nature of the game infects people making baseball art. So in a good way, it's a good virus.
It is. It's weird because, I mean, 90% of the art that I make now is baseball related, and it's very weird because I grew up skateboarding as a kid, and baseball wasn't the anywhere on. Okay, all right. It was like in the 2% of my spectrum as a kid. You know what I mean? Like I was too busy jumping downstairs and trying to get rad that way, and that was, I'll have to say, skateboarding was my number one passion growing up. It was the first time I ever just gave everything to something, you know what I mean? Like you quit the friends that don't skate, you make friends that do, and you just eat, sleep, and breathe that. And then I got into some trouble as a kid, but my first, before the trouble, skateboarding is where I got my real first artistic exposure from. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, that scene is so creative, and it always has been, and it's getting more of its propers today, but it was never not it when I was a kid. You know what I mean? Like, just the whole scheme of skateboarding is creative. You're just taking things on the street that aren't meant for skateboarding and you're using them. That takes, you know, creative thinking to do. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. See, I didn't skateboard, but I guess it was late 80s. You start to see skateboards change and you start to see artwork go on them.
Hmm.
And I had friends that skated and I would just look through their catalogs, looking at the designs,
Absolutely,
looking at the
absolutely.
drawing.
And
Yeah.
each company had like their own offering of
Mhm.
graphics. You know what I'm saying? So, I mean, every, no, I would spend so much time just on skateboard graphics. You know what I mean? Like it was
Yeah.
so vast and so bright and so loud that yeah, that's like my real first influence in art is from that scene.
See that's what I love about these conversations is those are things that I think I'd forgotten about. And I had another artist on here, and he does vintage things, and he started talking about that, um, how that genre changed during that time, and I'm like, dude, that's right. And then I had that memory of looking at skateboard art. I didn't want to fall and bust my ass, but
Yeah,
but I appreciated the drawings and just the culture in general, the
yeah.
clothing, the
It's skateboarding is so influential on pop culture today. Like you can just you could find something and then literally like trace it back. It'll end up in a skateboarding
yeah.
sense. You know what I mean? Just because those goofy kids back then, they're the 50-year-olds today, 55-year-olds today that own the companies now. You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
so it had this when I was growing up, it had this stigma that you were a punk if you did it. You know what I mean? Like it just got to that, like this guilty by association thing. And it was probably true too, you know. But but you were kids and that was my rebellion. You know what I'm saying? Like my rebellion wasn't drugs. My
Yeah.
rebellion was getting rad on a skateboard. So there was this weird misconception that you were causing trouble, but you really weren't. You know, you weren't intending to cause trouble. You're like, oh, let's try this, and then the security guards come, and then it becomes trouble. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
so my whole artistic outlook is from a skateboarding perspective. I'm not scared to try new things as an artist.
Yeah.
I'm not scared. This is the most free I can possibly be as a human on this earth. And so I will try anything. Okay. And you can just look at my feed and it's because that's how I work. I'm like, if I don't attack it then, I may not ever attack it because like my artistic thing appears in sparks.
I mean, that's definitely what drew me to your work, because I mean, I'm similar. I It's whatever I'm in the mood for, and if I'm
Yeah,
not in the mood
and then
for
there.
it, I'm not going to do it.
Yeah.
But so you said about 90% of your work is baseball. What's the other 10?
Jeez, man. How can I explain it, dude? Just conceptual, impressionistic.
Miscellaneous.
Yeah, really, it really
Yeah.
is. Like, yeah. So I wish I could say like I have a style, but I feel like my style is more
Well, you
product.
definitely have a style. You see it even within the baseball work. I can see the shifts in what you're working on, between when you're working in marker, working
Yeah.
smaller versus the bigger paint pieces. Or, but yeah, so yeah. I was just curious because I don't think I've seen anything but the baseball work, which I love. It's just
Yeah, I just okay, look, and then here goes another thing, and this is kind of a bad thing too. Then you start getting paid to do something, okay? And I've had some success um with collectors. So getting paid to do something, I wow, man, I'm not trying to sound negative.
Mhm.
It influences kind of what you do. Oh, wow, this really sounds really bad. Trying to chase money. You get what I'm saying? Like I don't, and I don't like that money aspect. It's nice to get it. It's nice to get it from doing things you love, but maybe maybe I'm just having a conversation with you, trying to process this and figure it out. You know what I'm
Well,
saying?
and
Yeah,
that is
it's
what these conversations are for, I think, because I'm on the other end, sometimes working through the same things, and that I think what you're talking about, it's a complicated thing. I I'm fortunate that people. I'm not. Well, it's a balance. You have luck, and then there's all the work that you pour into it.
right,
Um,
right.
I've gotten to the point where I say no to certain commissions because if I'm not feeling it, um, I'm not the artist you're looking for. Now, if you want a piece of what I do, that's different.
Absolutely.
But that becomes tricky because I think you can, and I have had it happen where you start to burn out on the commissions. But I feel like I found the balance, and the way I did that is really for commissions. I only push a certain size that I know I can complete, quickly,
Yeah.
and then move on because I don't want to be working on a piece and it just consumes what I'm doing and it stops my fun in the studio. And I think it sounds like
No.
it's a
I
little
hear
bit
what
of,
you're saying.
yeah.
It's a weird thing because there was the song "Rap Superstar." You want to be a rap superstar and live like it's like
Cypress
you're.
Hill.
So you remember the part? Remember the part when I forget what is it, Everlast? Remember that dude Everlast?
Yeah, yeah.
So there's that part in the song where he starts talking. He goes, "Yeah, man, you see how it is. You see the glitz and the glamour and stuff." He goes, "But it gets to become a job too." And yeah, and so for me, like you said, the having fun in the studio aspect,
Yeah.
and but I guess that's just you gotta pay respect. You gotta pay respect to your craft when you're getting paid for it. You know what I'm saying? Like
Well,
it's
it's important to maintain. Like I said, this is fun. This is a fun job. We didn't get into it to have it not be fun.
no,
So that is just it's a core value, and I think in the long term, if you want to keep doing it, you have to stay true to your core value,
yeah.
and part of that's saying no sometimes.
Oh, I
Or
believe me,
yeah,
man. I don't have an issue saying no, um, because I okay. The card art that I make, that's the most affordable thing that I do. I mean, the most affordable thing that I can possibly do, and and I have some people, they come into your message, your DMs, and they're already directing you. And I don't know. You know what I do. Do you know what I'm saying? You know, you see it. Like if you're too lazy to scroll down the feed a little bit and see that what I do, then hit the road, man. You know what I mean? Because I don't need people directing me before you've thrown that token of appreciation in the bucket. You know what I'm saying? Like, it doesn't work this. And there's also this. I'm not a newbie to this thing. Okay, I've been painting for a very long. I've been creative my whole life. One, and I've been a professional artist since 2005. And so I have people not understand that there are levels to this.
Yeah.
And I'm just, that's an honest thing. You know what I'm saying? Like there are levels to this. And you have to do your due diligence as a customer or a client and know who you're dealing with, kind of. You know what I'm saying? Like, you can go online. I do this about the people that buy my stuff. I figure out who they are, because not everybody's at the same level.
Yeah.
Do you know what I'm saying? Like as an old school seniority type of a thing. You know, there's senseis and there's blue belts. You know what I mean? And so I feel like a lot of people think that this little Instagram thing that we do, which seems like more for children almost, like, so there's this weird like immaturity level of some people that come into your DMs because they have 10,000 followers and you have 1,500. And there's this really weird weight that social media places on things that maybe aren't as exactly as substantial in real life, because social media is weird that way. You know what I mean? So I'm an artist pre-social media. You know what I mean? Social media is weird and kind of new to me, and I'm just kind of trying to figure it out. You know what I mean? Like,
how new is it to you?
Excuse me?
How new is social media to you?
Social media in regards to trying to promote my art as a business, 2 years, you know.
Okay.
That
is pretty fresh.
I've been on Instagram for a long time, but I've never used it as that tool. I just got on it to get on it, and you post pictures of your dog, or you post pictures of you know what I mean? And I still try to do that, like show who I am in my feed, but you know, I'm mostly hustling my wares. About 2 years.
So, you know, as far as when the pandemic started, how did you have focused attention on it, or was there a change in what you were doing?
No. So I was like fully, well, okay, no, you're right. Yes, there was a change in the regards to, now I'm doing a lot more 2.5 by 3.5 sized artwork, baseball cards
that you can put in the mail.
Yes. And when the pandemic hit, it seemed to hit at the exact same time as Project 2020.
Yeah.
Topps 2020. And then
So for those listening, that's the Topps Baseball Card Company made a set where it was just artists remaking their baseball cards, which had quite an impact in people making baseball art in general, I
yeah,
think.
it really did. And so I was like, I had started my modern baseball art page. I think it was at the end of 2018, and I had broken my arm skateboarding. Okay, and so I couldn't really run around. I couldn't ride my bike. I couldn't, and so luckily it was my non-drawing arm that was broken, and then I just started drawing. And because I make my own canvases. I have a little wood shop. I got tools in the garage. I cut my own wood. I stretch my own canvas. I try to be as self-sufficient as I can, as an artist, and try to learn everything I can to help make me more well-rounded. But when you got one arm, you're not well-rounded at all. So it was a pen and paper, and I just started drawing baseball cards. I just drawing baseball cards. And so by the time the pandemic hit, it was cool because I already kind of had a little following regarding the baseball art, and then pandemic, and then people want to buy baseball cards that you made, and that was totally cool, man, because I just got back into collecting in 2016, and it was a direct. I started collecting because I had gotten a pretty decent commission from a collector, and I was like, dude, I need to buy me some baseball cards, man. Like, my Will Clark collection ended. I still have the pamphlet from the last baseball card show I went to in 1992. And baseball cards ended that day. You turn 18, there's a lot more things you're thinking about when you're 18 other than baseball cards. And then the collection just stops. And so we go from 92 to 2016, and I start collecting again. And I just started with the Will Clark stuff. I'm a big Will Clark fan. I'm wearing the Texas hat for you.
I appreciate that.
Yeah, for sure, man. Yeah,
I saw that right off.
Texas I got all Will Clark's hats. I wore this one for you.
That's awesome.
But yeah, so the whole baseball card art, yeah, it was pretty cool.
I love it because I remember you reaching out to me for like trading art, and I felt like a kid again when I used to trade baseball cards.
Yeah.
And it made me so happy. And I've done it, with a lot of the other artists in our fundraiser circle, and that's pretty cool. That's just
dude, it is so cool, man. One, because you get something you want, they get something they want. One, two, you open up a line of communication with somebody that you never talked to. You know what I'm saying? Like I've never had a pen pal my entire life, so I didn't know the dynamic of that. Okay, I just did not know. As an artist, I can go, other than my lady being around, I can go eons without seeing a friend. Okay, like I can just get in. I'm a busy boy. I'm never bored because I have art. Okay, and that alienates me though from people. You know what I'm saying? Like, you got kids.
That is so true. Well, but I am, because I do, there's father mode, there's studio mode. Yeah. Right now we are in studio mode. This is an extension of my studio, yes, because we're talking art, but that's all I live. So yeah, like I said in the beginning, when you reached out to me, it was like, oh, right, I'm human. Like, somebody, because immediately around me, I have artists, but, they weren't feeling the baseball stuff I was doing. So I didn't have the dialogue that you and I would have about it,
Yeah.
they don't have a favorite player that they want a painting of. But when you reached out to me and wanted a Will Clark, I'm like, dude, that's cool. And then I got a Don Mattingly out of it, and so on. And as I tell all the artists, I'm like, it's always open trade season here.
Totally.
because since I have 16 kids or so, I don't really spend a lot of money, but
Right.
I will work my butt off making you something.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's like,
So your card brand, it says, donuts
yeah.
is the brand. Where did that come from?
Okay, real simple. The piece of equipment that you slap on a baseball bat. Okay, a donut, a baseball donut, and so I just felt it was really pertinent. I just sprinkled it up a little bit with some color, and it just kind of just took on a life of its own for me. You know what I mean? And I had
I love
people
it.
like specifically asking, "Hey man, can you make sure to put the donut on there?" And that was fun. You know what I'm saying? Like not everybody did that, but some people they're like, "Hey man, make sure to get that donut on there." And I just thought it was funny and fun, and that's where it all goes back to. The whole pandemic thing. I feel like us and this little group of people that got together via creativity on Instagram, we got to have fun when other people were bitching and complaining. And
Yeah.
we're getting to kind of like get that childlike feeling again, like at trading, making stuff, talking baseball, living baseball, and we were doing that and there was no baseball. So we were holding
Well,
it down for a whole culture.
yeah, well, that's exactly how I started to do the baseball thing. I'm like, man, there's no baseball season. And so I just started and people would say that. It's like, man, it's like you're keeping the season alive.
I
And
got so many of those comments too.
that's amazing. That's the power of art. Um, but aside from, we were all having a blast, but me personally, I know a few others. It kept us economically thriving, because this this has been an odd time. Traditionally, I would have been out exhibiting in person, but especially getting addicted to various projects, the baseball being in the forefront. I mean, it helped me feed my kids, and
Can you say?
I'm so thankful. I'm so thankful that well, it's what you said. You make something, because I made those, and so many times I make projects, and I'm always just making the things I want to make, and a lot of the times it feels like I'm probably just going to collect these. They're just going to be behind me. But thankfully, the work that I put up on my walls, it rotates, because especially right now, I think with social media, the internet, we have people's attention right now more so than we do when they're doing their regular 9 to 5 and going to an office and doing this and that.
Or literally going out and running around. See, I don't. I'm. I'm reiterating. I can be home. Like I don't need to go places. You know what I mean? Like I don't need to go anywhere. So
Yeah.
like the whole entertainment factor for people is not there. You can't go to the movies, you can't go eat out to the restaurant. So you're doing a lot more social media. You know what I'm saying? Like, okay, how I like to watch TV sometimes, but I don't like to watch it all the time. You know what I mean? Like during dinner, me and my lady will watch, Mandalorian or something while we're eating. But other than that, like I said, I got these and I use
Yeah.
these all day long,
Yeah.
all day
Yeah.
long.
Yeah. It's great because I don't I always it's something I often say. It's my life would have been a lot different if I didn't pick up things and make these creations, you know.
Yeah.
It,
Put it this way, man.
um
Oh, please finish.
oh no, no, go ahead, go ahead.
Yeah. See, I've always been creative. I mentioned that my whole life. I think I was even maybe a little more skilled than the kids in my classroom and that type of thing. You could just look down on the paper and see it. Okay. But there's nothing I was serious about. You know what I mean? I just had that, like that natural skill. And then you grow up, and I was a really young father. I was 19 years old when my daughter was born, and so then that happens, and your whole life changes. You know what I mean? It's whatever stupid job you can do, and that, and then
You know, I think that notion of parenthood, because I became a father at 37 years old. Um, Before that, you know, like I started my art career, I was 18, and other artists were like, "Oh, well, it's because you don't have kids, you know. When you have kids, you know, it's just you're not going to do as much art." And I don't know if that, in general, I don't like being told I can't do something,
yeah,
or if it's just the nature of the beast, because my art production actually increased, and it's more furious than it's ever been. And a large part of that for me is, um, one day somebody will tell them, might even be me, you can't do that. It's not a real job. And you know, I'll be able to show them the random things that I put on a surface and raise them with. And that's important to me. If I give them nothing else,
yeah,
if that's if that's all they, you know, when I'm gone, that I leave them, if that's the only message, that's really valuable. But I wonder if I would have been the same having kids at a younger age, or if, you know,
well,
if
look,
it's
man,
because I got to live a circus bizarre life
I, I
until
feel
fatherhood,
I feel
and now it's
like,
a different circus.
oh yeah, big time, yeah. And then I was a young father, and then I was married, and then by I had another kid, and then by 30 I was divorced, and my entire life changed. And that's when I became an artist. Before, I was just a kid that had some natural skill, but when I turned 30, I became an artist because the just the pain from that divorce was is what fueled the artistic fire. You know, just plain and simple.
Well, it's, I think, the best kind of therapy when, you know, because it's your feelings. Even what we're doing baseball wise,
Yeah.
those are the things we're into, and we are breathing life to them in our own respective ways. You know, even though you and I work in the same genre, different animals
Mhm.
that that we lay down, and I think that's what's so cool about it. But I'm glad that you found that, you know, because it's, I think if more people, I'm not saying everyone has to draw or paint, but if they went to that thing, whatever it is, you know,
Yeah.
whatever type, it's always about expression. And um it'd be a lot easier for many to heal that I think don't sometimes.
Oh well, yeah. I'll be honest with you. I was always how can I explain this? Depression has only been a minor thing in my life. Okay, and I'm gonna attribute that to I've always had major focuses. I've always had a good, strong hobby that allowed me to escape. Okay. And I've always been a creative person, but there's been definite times where my visual expression was being dominated by a different avenue of expression. Okay. When I was teaching myself how to play the guitar when I was 23, that was so huge for me because my dad always wanted me to play the guitar because I come from a musical family more than a visually artistic family. My family plays music. But at the time when my father was trying to get me to play the guitar, I wasn't doing guitar, I was doing skateboards. And so there was no room for anything else but skateboards. Then I taught myself at 23 to play guitar, and it was a good block of time when I was just balls deep in learning music. And that was awesome for me because I'm the type of person that if something seems a little challenging or not, that I won't be able to jump on it, I'll kind of put it aside. You know what I mean? Art's easy for me. So the thing with art is I have to just always make art and then I'll be fine. With music, challenging. It did not come natural to me, but my want got me what I wanted. Okay. And I learned how to do it. And that's how I am, man. I just, when I want it, I'll get it, you know?
Yeah. So what's
Creative.
new right now?
No, but creatively, not financially.
Yeah, there you go. But yeah, what's new right now that you're excited about as far as your creations and what you're doing, how you're evolving?
Well,
I love the zigzag things you're doing.
So for me, and that I'm just like, I'm just appreciating. I'm appreciating the things that I appreciated when I was a kid. Okay. I can't explain it any more than that. For me, art just goes, and I don't paint pissed off art. I haven't painted a pissed off piece in 15 years because I don't use art for that. I'm trying to capture innocence. I'm trying to capture that feeling that we got to have before we were thrown into the real mix of the world. You know what I mean? Like when mom and dad were taking care of you and life was good.
I think the thing, I made a little video when the pandemic started and I was showing the baseball pieces to the camera. And I was just talking about where the series came from. Because all of a sudden, you know, just like your 18 pieces, all of a sudden I had a bunch of baseball pieces. And I said, I guess I'm regressing to a time where my biggest concern was having 25 cents for a pack of baseball cards. Versus work has stopped, or, you know, and I could see it, you know, it's like, okay, well, what I was full steam ahead doing all of a sudden has no steam. And but being in that place, and looking back towards that innocence, and just in general, my production of pop art, you know, the things I enjoy. I love wrestling. I have a crazy little series on that.
Yeah.
And it's funny because other people have these interests, and that's what I love about pop art. You know, my other work, it's following, and people are excited on that, and I'm glad. But that's a different connection. Those people are probably really weird. No.
Yeah.
They have to be because they understand what I'm doing. No, but but that's the cool thing about something like pop art, it's more universal. So the the dialogue is easier in a way,
Absolutely.
because yeah,
It's familiar.
exactly. It's what you said, like kind of celebrating innocence. So
For me, that's
I
what it
love
is.
that. I love that. All right. Well, I'm gonna round us out here. Bill Cormalis Jr. on Instagram, Modern Baseball Art.
Yep.
Is that correct?
Yep.
And then BillCormalisJr.com. Check him out. Check out his creations. I hope you'll be back.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Anytime.
Because I'm always watching, and I love what you, all the lefts and rights you take.
Hey, man, I also, Barry Sanders is a big influence too, so I try to keep it like he ran.
There you go. There you go. All right, man. I'll see you next time.
I do.
Bebop. Bebop.